I'm Rachel Monroe, and I live in Crestview Hills, a suburban neighborhood where every fence is freshly painted and the flowers bloom in perfect rows. It's the kind of place that promises beauty but hides ugliness, and that ugliness's name is Karen Hensley, the HOA president who rules with a clipboard and a sneer. This story is about her, me, and my daughter, Lily, whose art mural on our fence Karen vandalized, thinking she could erase us. She didn't know I'm a community arts council director, and I was about to paint her into a corner with the law. Lily's 14, with freckles across her nose and a smile that radiates warmth even when her Down syndrome makes the world a puzzle. She's nonverbal, communicating through art-vivid colors, sweeping lines, emotions on canvas, or, in this case, our backyard fence. 2 years ago, after my husband's deployment left me a solo mom, I moved us to Crestview Hills for a fresh start. I'm a petite woman, soft-spoken, used to advocating for public art in my job. But here, I'm just Lily's mom. I don't advertise. My role as the Community Arts Council Director, overseeing grants and protecting artistic expression. All I wanted was a safe space for Lily, and her mural gave us that. The mural was Lily's masterpiece, a vibrant underwater scene she painted on our wooden fence coral reefs in oranges and pinks. Fish in shimmering blues, a smiling mermaid, with freckles like hers. She'd spend hours on a stool, her wheelchair nearby for when her legs tired, dipping brushes in paint cans I'd set up. I'd watch from the porch, my heart swelling as she hummed, her hands steady with purpose. Neighbors loved it too. Mrs. Torres, the nurse next door, would clap, saying, "Lily's mural brings us joy." Kids like Sam from across the street would watch, asking to help, and Lily would nod, her eyes bright, her confidence soaring. The mural was her voice, her connection to the world. Everyone saw that except Karen. Karen Hensley had been harassing us since we arrived. Maybe it was the mural's bright colors, which she called gaudy in her first scathing letter. Maybe it was Lily's humming, too distracting for her perfect Crestview Hills. She'd march over, our short gray hair stiff, her deep neckline, blouses flashing, her curvy, bulky frame looming as she barked about unapproved artwork or noise violations. Her eyes, cold and critical, lingered on Lily's paint-stained hands like they were a crime. I'd nod, show her the HOA's art allowance, pay her fines, and keep the peace. Lily had enough challenges: school struggles, social isolation, the ache of her dad's absence. I thought I could handle Karen's hostility. I was wrong. It was a warm June evening when the trouble erupted. Lily was by the fence, adding a yellow starfish to her mural, her wheelchair parked nearby. I was on the porch, sipping tea, reviewing grant applications, glancing at her with a smile. Her paint cans sat neatly beside her, brushes in hand. Then Karen stormed into our yard, her face twisted with fury, her clipboard clutched like a weapon. "This mural's an eyesore," she shouted, pointing at the fence. "It's lowering property values." I stood, keeping my voice steady. "It's on my property, Karen, and it's within HOA guidelines. It's Lily's art, and it stays." She scoffed, her eyes flicking to Lily, hood frozen, her brush dripping. "Art. It's a mess. Take it down, or I will," she scribbled on her clipboard and left, her heels clicking like a threat. Lily's eyes met mine, wide with fear, her hands trembling. She signed mine, her fingers shaky. I knelt beside her, signing back, "Yes, sweetheart, it's yours." But her trust faltered, and a knot tightened in my chest. Karen wasn't bluffing. I spent the next day reinforcing my position. Called the HOA secretary, confirming the mural's compliance with their rules. Art on private property was allowed, no approval needed. I photographed the mural, its colors vibrant, to counter Karen's eyesore claim. I even drafted a polite email to Karen, attaching the HOA rule, hoping to appeal to reason. But Karen didn't care about reason, she cared about control. That Monday, while I was at work finalizing a mural grant for downtown, and Lily was at her art therapy class, Karen struck. Mrs. Torres called me, her voice frantic. "Rachel, get home, quick." Karen's painting over Lily's mural with white paint. I sped home, heart pounding, tires screeching on the pavement. When I pulled into Crestview Hills, the sight shattered me. The fence was a stark white, Lily's underwater. World gone, streaks of white paint dripping like tears. Karen stood there, a paint roller in hand, her smirk sharp as a knife, an empty paint can at her feet. Neighbors watched, some filming, others whispering, their faces a mix of shock and guilt. "What the hell have you done?" Anna shouted, leaping. From my car, my voice trembling with rage. Karen's smirk widened, her voice dripping with fake authority. "I warned you, Rachel, that mural was a violation. The HOA approved its removal. You destroyed my daughter's art." I yelled, stepping closer, fists clenched. "She's disabled, Karen." That mural was her voice. She rolled her eyes, unmoved. "Don't play the pity card. Rules are rules." She turned, clutching her clipboard, and walked off, leaving the paint to dry like a scar. I wanted to chase her, to make her feel Lily's silence. But Mrs. Torres grabbed my arm, her eyes wet. "Lily's coming home soon, Rachel." I stared at the white fence, my chest tight. How was I going to tell her? I ran my hands over the fence, hoping some color remained, but it was gone. Buried under Karen's spite, Mrs. Torres stayed, wringing her hands, muttering that woman's heartless. Neighbors like Mr. Jenkins, the retiree across the street, offered quiet apologies. "We should have stopped her," he said, head low. Their regret didn't help. Karen had silenced Lily, and I had to face her heartbreak. When Lily's therapy van pulled up, I braced myself. She wheeled down the ramp, her freckles bright in the sun. Then saw the fence. Her face crumpled, her hands signing where. Frantically, I knelt, signing back, "Gone, sweetheart." Karen painted it. Her eyes filled with tears, her body rocking, a silent cry shaking her. She wheeled to the fence, touching the white paint, her fingers smearing it, searching for her. "Fish." I pulled her close, her grief soaking into me, my own eyes burning. Mrs. Torres wept, and neighbors lowered their phones, some turning away. I held Lily until her tears slowed, her small body trembling. "I'm so sorry, baby," I whispered, signing it too. "I'll fix this." I wheeled her inside, her paint-stained hands limp, and tucked her into bed, her eyes hollow. That night, I sat at the dining table, the white fence a ghost through. The window? Karen thought she'd won, but she didn't know who I was. As a Community Arts Council director, I protect artistic expression. And Karen's vandalism was a crime under state property laws, carrying fines and restitution. She'd also violated HOA rules and trespassed. I was going to make her answer for it. The next morning, I built my case with precision. I pulled the HOA guidelines, confirming the mural's compliance and Lily's therapy records, showing how art was her communication. I photographed the vandalized fence, the white paint, the empty can with Karen's fingerprints. I called my city contacts, who verified the vandalism's legal weight, launching an investigation. I filed a property damage complaint, citing Karen's intent to harm Lily's emotional well-being, backed by her therapist's letter. I contacted the police, who logged the trespassing. Every piece of evidence was a brushstroke in the case against Karen. I went further, gathering neighbor testimonies. Mrs. Torres wrote a detailed account of Karen's hostility fines for Lily's mural, threats to report her humming. Mr. Jenkins described her bullying the neighborhood, how she'd fined him for a faded mailbox. I collected a dozen statements, painting Karen as a tyrant. The evidence was a masterpiece, a legal canvas. A week later, the HOA held an emergency meeting in the community center, a packed room buzzing with tension. Karen sat at the front, her clipboard poised, her smirk defiant, as if she were untouchable. Mrs. Torres clutched a photo of Lily painting, her eyes fierce. I walked in not as Rachel the quiet mom, but as Rachel Monroe, Community Arts Council Director. My badge clipped to my belt, a thick folder of evidence in hand. Karen opened the meeting, her voice syrupy with false concern. Let's address the Crestview fence issue. That mural was a violation, and I removed it for the HOA's benefit. I stood, my voice cutting through the room. You vandalized my daughter's mural, Karen. Lily's disabled. That art was. Her voice, and you silenced her. The room went silent. Karen's smirk twitched, but she held her ground. It was an eyesore, Rachel. Don't exaggerate. It's a crime, I said, stepping forward, handing the board my folder. You committed property damage under state law, a misdemeanor carrying fines and restitution. You trespassed, broke HOA rules, and harmed a disabled child's well-being. I filed charges with the city. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I plugged a USB into the projector and played a neighbor's video, Karen rolling white paint over the mural. Her smirk clear. Mrs. Torres sobbed, holding up Lily's photo. A woman shouted, "She's a vandal." Karen leaped up, red-faced. This is a setup. You're attacking me. It's justice, I said, my badge glinting. I'm a Community Arts Council Director. You destroyed my daughter's art, and you're done. The room erupted. Neighbors chanted, "Step down." Mrs. Torres waved Lily's photo, her voice cracking. You hurt that girl. The board, three nervous figures whispered frantically. The chairman, Ms. Ellis, stood, voice shaky. We'll vote to remove Karen. Cheers drowned her protests, her face crumpling as her power faded. Karen sank, her clipboard useless, her smirk gone. I didn't gloat. I packed my folder, nodded at Mrs. Torres, and left. The real fight was legal, and I was ready. The law hit Karen like a tidal wave. The city charged her with misdemeanor property damage, carrying a $5,000 fine and restitution for the mural's restoration. Trespassing and HOA violations added $1,500 in penalties. In court, I testified in my director's uniform, badge shining, voice steady but heavy with Lily's pain. I detailed the mural's role in Lily's communication, Karen's deliberate vandalism, and the trauma inflicted. Lily's therapist spoke, her words piercing. That mural was her language. Its loss silenced her. The video played, Karen's smirk a damning echo. Mrs. Torres testified, her voice trembling, recounting Lily's tears by the fence. The judge was stern. You destroyed a disabled child's expression, she said, her gavel poised. Karen got a $3,000 fine, 3 months probation, and a mandate to pay $2,000 to restore the mural and fund Lily's art therapy. Her lawyer stumbled, and she left the courtroom, head low. Karen's house went up for sale, her reign over Crestview Hills ended. Neighbors rallied. Mrs. Torres organized a community paint day, and we repainted the mural Lily's underwater world, brighter than before. With new fish and a rainbow. Mr. Jenkins sealed it, and Sam and other kids added their handprints, cheering Lily on. The unveiling was a celebration. Neighbors brought snacks, music played, and Lily smiled, her brush in hand. Lily didn't paint right away. The trauma lingered, her trust shaken. But one morning, I wheeled her to the fence, and she dipped her brush in blue, adding a fish. Pretty, she signed, her eyes bright. I hugged her, my heart full. Yes, Lily, it's yours. Weeks later, as summer deepened, Lily painted daily, her humming filling the yard. Mrs. Torres brought paint cans. Kids sketched nearby, and the neighborhood glowed. The mural stood vibrant, a testament to resilience. Crestview Hills wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Karen was gone, and Lily's voice shone again.